Ari Lennox talks about her dislikes on The Martin Show and how she disliked how Martin treated Pam. Is she being too sensitive, guys, or do you agree with her sentiment?
Ari Lennox situation needs to be talked about because it's not a lot of light shedding on the situation. She had a problem with the way Pam was treated on Martin by Martin. And it's because she's a dark-skinned girl. Now understand this. This is why. Because people in the comments is saying she too woke, she too this. Oh, she's trying to find a problem with everything because she's a dark-skinned girl. Understand that society traumatized dark-skinned girls. Do y'all realize that? Is that when a trauma victim, and I'm explaining it from my sense, is when a trauma victim continues to go through traumatic experiences, they think everybody's going to treat them like trauma. Why y'all think y'all never see me with anybody? I don't play that friend shit. Friends are a liability. So when I see a dark-skinned girl finding a problem with the littlest things, I understand why. It's because society done treated them so bad to where they think that every little thing is trying to hurt them. Do y'all understand that? That's how trauma works.
It's kind of a reach to say the way that Martin joked on Pam was a form of colorism. Now, what was actually colorism was the casting of these shows. We saw a lot of times back then where the lighter skin tone woman got the sweeter, softer role or the role of being in a relationship or the main role. While the brown skin or darker skin woman always got the friend role, the side chick role, the role of woman never being able to keep a man, the loud one, the raunchy, promiscuous one. I mean, we knew the agenda, you know what I'm saying? Martin joked on everybody. Cole, Tommy, Pam, Gina, everybody joked on everybody on that show. So I love how a lot of like Just Hilarious and a whole bunch of other women are saying like, oh, I was never triggered by that. Because I really don't think that it was giving that. Now, do I think that Pam would have been a better fit for maybe the main role because she gave main character energy? Yes. And that is where the colorism lie. Like even in Sprung, have you ever seen Sprung with Gina, where her and the girl went to a party and they met these dudes? Of course, Gina was the sweet one that didn't want to be, sleep with the man on the first night. And she actually found love. While the brown-skinned woman was the loud ghetto one that just had a lot going on. Although I love that movie, this is where the colorism lied. And don't come for me because y'all know I am always, always, always protecting my black and brown girls and calling it out when something ain't right. I just don't think this is one of those times.
If you are sensitive, I am begging you, stay away from old school comedy, please. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for people with thicker skin and functioning brain cells. So I know y'all heard about Ari Lennox lately, been on this streak watching old media and stuff. And it's got Miss Girl triggered. First it was Martin, now it's Bernie Mac. I love Ari, but honey, if every old school comedy thing you watch makes you clutch your pearls, baby, comedy's not for you, baby. You might be too sensitive for it. See, back then with comedy, you had to think. You had to connect the dots. Sometimes you even had to be alive when they were telling the joke in order for you to get the joke. Because the punchline kind of lived inside of the environment that everybody was in at that time. Folks read books, they paid attention, and could take a joke without needing a therapy session afterwards. See, this is the other thing that I think people forget. Comedy was never really meant to be a safe space. At least that's not how I ever saw it. It's supposed to poke at the things that we don't want to talk about. It's supposed to push you out of your comfort zone. It's supposed to make you think in ways that you've never thought of before. That's the beauty of it. You laugh and you walk away seeing the world a little differently. If you need your feelings, swaddled in a blanket, like every time somebody starts telling jokes and stuff like that, then you should probably stick to the new stuff. That soft, tender comedy that checks in with your emotions to make you sure you're okay. That's probably going to be your lane. See, I want to watch comedy until my stomach hurts. Because, see, there's a fine line between being offended and being funny. And frankly, sometimes you can be offended and laugh at the same damn time. So, Ari, sweetie, old comedy's not going to change for you. Either let it live or just turn the channel, baby.
So you can infer that Ari Lennox is saying that the jokes between Martin and Pam are colorist, but Ari Lennox herself can't infer that the jokes between Martin and Pam are colorist. Make that make sense, bro. Let me be clear about something. Ari Lennox never uses the word colorism or colorist. She does not say that Martin's jokes towards Pam are colorist. Y'all said that shit, okay? I understand the inference because she said as a dark-skinned little girl, watching that dynamic made her feel some type of way and it pissed her off. So I understand where you got it from, but at the same time, if you can infer that, then somebody can infer that Martin calling motherfucking Pam BDB or whatever, fixing the gnats in the back of her head or calling her a dog, a horse, and all this other type of shit is the colorist. So she said that she adores Martin, the show, the characters. She called it legendary. It's not the fact that he was ragging on Pam. It's the way that he ragged on Pam. And all of the excuses y'all can come up with are cool, whatever. You interpreted it one way, she interpreted it another. Due to her personal experience, and yours might be different, it's okay to hold space for all of them. What's crazy is I'm seeing all of these think pieces talking about Ari Lennox is projecting, she's too sensitive, she too woke, go take a nap, and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, y'all are doing the exact same thing you are accusing her of doing to her. Y'all are the ones being sensitive and projecting because, once again, she never uses the word colorist or colorism. What's crazy is as y'all sit here and tell her that she needs to go to therapy, you need to be doing your own inner work, because the fact that you don't recognize how triggered you are in this conversation speaks volumes. I truly do believe that this response is rooted in trauma because we don't want unnecessary critique to our culture, to our media, to our persons, because we are constantly under surveillance in this country and we are constantly being critiqued, and unjustly so. So I understand the impulse to want to protect Martin and its legacy, but that doesn't mean that problematic shit didn't happen and we need to talk about it. Our community is plagued with colorism, texturism, featureism, massage noir, anti-blackness. All of it happens within our community. We are also humans. The same things that happen in other communities happen here too. We have been steeped in white supremacy and all of this bullshit for over, 400 years now? Be so fucking for real. It's okay to acknowledge that some of our media has problematic shit in it because our community has problematic shit in it. And until we can rectify with that, we are constantly going to be on this hamster wheel of having these discussions and discourse around shit that really we shouldn't be arguing about. We should just be trying to figure out how to move forward from. What I want for black people is for us to take that white supremacist handbook, close that bitch, and toss that bitch across the sea. Because every time we have a discourse or a discussion on this app, that's the first thing that y'all motherfuckers will pick up. Come the fuck on. How are you gonna sit here and invalidate this woman's experience because you didn't have the same experience? It's the same way these white people will get up in your face and tell you that their microaggressions can't possibly be racist because they never called you a nigga. Just because Martin never said anything explicit about Pam's skin tone or anything like that does not mean that his statements can't be rooted in colorism. Once again, Ari Lennox never said anything about Martin being colorist, about the show promoting colorism. She didn't even use the word colorism, okay? That once again was something that people inferred from her statements. So saying that Martin couldn't possibly be colorist against Pam because he never said anything about her being dark-skinned is willfully obtuse. She never spoke for anybody but herself. She did not speak for black women and she did not speak for dark-skinned women. I don't understand why everybody is dogpiling on her in this instance, but you know what? I think I can figure out why.
Look, sometimes I don't like to speak on stuff like this because me being a brown-skinned girly, when I don't just automatically back up the brown-skinned girlies, y'all be trying to eat me up you being a dark-skinned woman yourself. Man, look, I don't give a damn. Let's be for real here. If y'all have been following me for a long time, y'all know I am obsessed with the Martin TV show. I used to have the box set DVDs. I used to just watch it all day, every day, nothing else but Martin, okay? I cannot recall one time he said something about Pam's skin tone, her complexion. He talked about her BDBs, her buckshots. He talked about her run-over shoes. He talked about her stanky breath. So I'm trying to talk about her weavy wonder, unbelievable. So I'm just trying to figure out, Ari Lennox, did she have run-over shoes? Did Ari Lennox have stanky breath? Did Ari Lennox had a crazy amount of weave where she was unbelievable? Did she have some BDBs and buckshots? Because what else would you be offended by? Because, come on now. As a black woman, it don't matter what complexion you are. You could have BDBs and buckshots. You could have stanky breath. You could have run over shoes. So I don't understand how any of the jokes that he said specifically was geared towards being brown skin or dark skin. Make it make sense. And then Martin was talking about Gina big head. He talked about Nipsey and Big Shirley being big. He talked about Cole being dumb. He talked about Tommy having no job. So it's just should the bigger people be feeling like, oh my gosh, she was fat phobic? Like, should people with no job be like, oh my gosh, she was no jobophobic? Like, I don't like. Come on now, the world is too sensitive these days. Like, this is what's irritated me. Like, even when I be watching Rush Hour or like Netflix, they got a whole like disclaimer at the beginning now. Like, this was filmed in a time when people was not weird and sensitive and crybabies. Like, god damn, like.
All I'm gonna say is, if you have a problem, or you think you have a problem with Ari Lennox saying how she felt about seeing a dark-skinned woman character treated in a show, you need to have some internal conversations. Because what she said about how she felt about a character in a show, having y'all tweaking, crazy ridiculous. Fix it. Get it together. Get it together. Pam was definitely the punchline to a plethora of jokes. He was just joking. Does not matter. She was the punchline to a plethora of jokes. Some of them colorist. Period. But we thought she was fine. We thought she was bad. Sorry, not sorry. Do you not understand? That's like someone saying, ugh, I'm depressed, man. Like, I think I have a chemical imbalance. I am very sad and drained and just over it all the time. Bro, but you look good. I never said I was ugly. I said I was depressed. Like, nobody said she was ugly. Nobody said she was chopped. They said she was treated disrespectfully. They said some of the jokes were out of pocket. Some of the jokes actually have context behind them. That sorry, not sorry makes those jokes less okay. The show happened in the 90s. If you don't think there has been any progression in our society, so from the 90s to 2025, there are some jokes that maybe you thought were okay back then that maybe are no longer okay because they shouldn't have never really been accepted, but because of the times they were, because too many people allowed them to be, and now that more people are saying and acknowledging, that's not okay, those things become less and less acceptable. Hashtag growth. Hashtag if it's not growing, it's dead. So it sounds like some of y'all mentally might just hashtag growth. Hashtag growth. Hashtag growth. Yeah. It's okay. She said how she felt about a character. And your response is, but we thought she was fine. She didn't say she thought Pam was ugly. We all know Pam is fine. We knew that. We have eyes too, sir. Even if you're not sexually attracted to women, we too can see certain women and go, you know what? Okay, girl, I see you. And I can still see that woman being harassed, and I can still see that woman being accosted, and I can still, some of y'all, maybe y'all got woman blindness or something. Like, y'all see certain things and you just immediately don't see it. You just, what? It was a joke. Boys will be boys. Ha 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 ha. And then you just don't see it. We don't have that reality. You should work on having that reality less and less and less. It's weird.
I thought we genuinely all understood that the jokes at Martin were rooted in colorism. I thought we all genuinely understood and agreed that the jokes that Martin made against Pam specifically and his portrayal of dark-skinned women, aka Shanae, was rooted in colorism. But now because Ari brought it to the light and said it like out loud, suddenly y'all are on Twitter like, no, he never talked about her skin color. First off, we already know that you don't have to necessarily talk about someone's skin color for it to still be colorism. The jokes that Martin made toward Pam were absolutely rooted in colorism because they always talked about how manly she was. They always talked about how her hair was nappy and was full of weave, and she was routinely compared to an animal. That's colorism. And respectfully, I don't care that Tanisha Arnold doesn't necessarily agree with the fact that the jokes on Martin were colorist, because that's her body of work. That is her claim to fame. That is a classic sitcom. That's her art. So of course she is going to defend it. But it doesn't erase how Ari feels or how other dark-skinned black women felt. Those tropes, the colorism tropes, were used heavily in a lot of them goddamn 90s shows. And to sit and act like that, like, oh, no 90s show was problematic, when if you look at them through today's lens, you're gonna find something problematic. And if you look at any of the shows like Martin, Girlfriends, The Parkers, and you don't find anything problematic about anything that was on those shows, then you have not grown as a person. It's more of a reflection on you and less a reflection on everybody else. You can still love a show and not actively pretend that the fuck shit didn't happen. There are a lot of shows. The Parkers, I love The Parkers down. Love it, and will rewatch it every single day. But I also will say the way that Nikki Parker acted was a fucking mess.
was a goddamn mess, and she needed to be arrested many a times. She should have been up under someone's jail cell. The same way that I can watch Martin and say Martin was colorist. Yes, the jokes he made about Pam were absolutely rooted in the fact that she was dark-skinned, and that's it. And he didn't like that fact. That is it. That is all. We can admit that fact and still enjoy the goddamn show. But then y'all want to sit here because you want to protect a piece of art so bad, you want to sit here and just blatantly ignore shit. Like, no, it didn't happen. No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Suddenly her being compared to a horse and being called beady beads. Well, like, the light-skinned women have nappy hair too. Y'all are disingenuous. And you're pissing me off. Stop talking.